their civic rights, if you have the secret responsibilities, be reminded that there are others also have their too to be protected. We, House of Integrity, you must respect the House. So, Mr. Speaker, let me read provision. Perhaps we are going to what I'm going to read, so that we can get this business going on before people start preempting us unnecessarily. Mr. Speaker, may I go ahead?
Proceed.
95. Side notes, contempt of Parliament. Any act of omission which obstructs or impedes Parliament in the performance of its functions, or which obstructs or impedes any member or officer, let me stress on that, Mr. Speaker, thereof in the discharge of his duties, or affronts to the dignity of Parliament, or which tends either directly or indirectly to produce such a result, shall be a contempt of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, we are representing people, and I want to say thank you for your leadership yesterday. I want to say thanks to my colleague on the other side. When we had a debate, we went to in a chamber to discuss the issues affecting us like Sierra Leone. We did not take partisan issues to your office. We went and discussed the issues that has to do with the people of Sierra Leone. And we came, we discussed same in the chamber for the good of the public. And the minister responded to some of the queries we raised. And we stood our time. Even when we wanted to form another schedule, we are struggling to do both in the opposition and in the ruling. People cannot go on social media and try to bastardize us unnecessarily. We are responsible people, that's why they call us honorable members of Parliament. We are public figures, but that doesn't mean you don't have to respect us. So much on social media. We are also fathers. We are also mothers. There are people who have contributed immensely to the status of their community. Contributed immensely to the progress of Sierra Leone. And this parliament is a progressive parliament, Mr. Speaker. You cannot just start bashing up because you have the free flow of social media, or because we are turning a blind eye to the cyber laws. They continue to bastardize us, blast us, because they think they are against you, they are against the leader of the opposition, before they are competing for position, so you can blast them like that. Even when they are called to our attention, that no, in 2024, we anticipated the increase of price for private because of that. We came and said, no, we are not going to accept it. The minister accepted yesterday. There are standards we need to follow. And the finance bill, as I read yesterday in the memorandum for objects and reasons, is for us to mobilize domestic revenue, to roll out policies, right, for infrastructure, etc., etc. So I'm asking you, Mr. Speaker, I have read this provision to admonish the public. Let them give us a chance. With this, the parliament is open. We are open to members of the fourth estate, they are in the gallery. We are open to civil society. In fact, we have civil society decks in our parliament. First, in the sub-region, we have civil society decks in our parliament. I'm very proud of that. And I must say thanks to you for accepting us, both leaders, for us to have that platform in this parliament. So I'm asking you, I have read section 95 of the Constitution. Let them give us a chance, let us do the job of the people. I have raised issues that citizens, they themselves, when we pass laws, they wait for bad moments. They don't praise a good moment. And when the bad moment is here, they start to talk bad about MPs. If you have not read the minutes of the last meeting, come to Parliament and we can educate you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I read like this before I proceed to the next one. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Leader of Government Business. You have said it all. And it's self-explanatory. Let me take this opportunity to inform the general public through those that are present here this morning.
Before you come.
Yes, Leader of the Opposition.
Yes, I want to thank my colleague, the Leader of Government Business. And by every estimation, it's as if the rest didn't understand what Parliament was doing yesterday. And it's our responsibility to educate the general public and the press as well as to what the proceedings of Parliament looked like. Like the Leader of Government is saying, I also saw, the publication on social media. and most of what I saw were misinformative, because it was not what Parliament agreed upon, and it was not the resolutions of Parliament. Especially on the Finance Act that was passed in 2024, there was to have been an additional 5% this year. But after we hung it, like the leader of government business stated, without any iota or element of partisan politics, we did it as Sierra Leoneans and as representatives of the people. We agreed unanimously, regardless of the part of the island in which we found ourselves. We agreed unanimously that the increment that was to have taken effect, that is to take effect next year, 2025, has been deferred to 2026. So meaning the additional 5% on the import duty for rice will not take effect next year. And why we did this as a parliament, we want to see the progress being made in the feed salon project, to see how best we can be able to come and make analysis again and see the way forward. So we did this as Sierra Leoneans. So it's unfair for anybody to be castigated for such a decision. That decision does not even have any elements of partisan politics. And we are preliminarily the representatives of the people. So we did that, and we took responsibility for that as members of parliament. I want to thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Leader of the Opposition. This is to inform the general public that no increment was done. It's interesting that you saw it, leaders. But I didn't see it because I don't go to the social media. At least for my mental health. I don't go there. So please be informed that no increment was made. No increment was made. And of course, you have been informed by the leader of government business of the requirement of Section 95, in addition to those provisions in the cyber law. You who publish, you who circulate or share, will be brought to Parliament. That's all the more reason why, if you do not understand what we do here, you are free to come to Parliament and ask. You are free as citizens of the Republic of Sierra Leone. That's why in the first place, we tolerate you coming here. We encourage people to come, sit in the gallery, to know what we are doing here. We are also Sierra Leoneans. So if you do not understand, you are free to come and ask, instead of making damaging use of the social media. I had promised, on the very day I was elected Speaker of this Parliament, I had promised that the full effect of Section 95 is going to be put into effect. Because over the years, speakers have not tolerated the putting into effect Section 95. Speakers over the years had rather admonish than to put into effect that provision. So I am saying, like I promised, if you know you do not understand, come and ask. Otherwise, if you commit contempt of Parliament, then we are going to ensure as a Parliament to put that provision into effect. And like the courts will do, the courts have, limit for punishing. But the laws have not provided any limit for this Parliament to punish anybody in respect of contempt. So that's all the more reason why you have to be extremely careful when it comes to Parliament handing down punishment. In the circumstances, this serves as a stern warning to members of the public who are enjoying themselves with the social media. Like I said, that's all the reason why I don't go there. I don't go to the social media. When I get up in the morning, I'm on the social media. I'm even afraid of the social media. Of course, those who indulge in the social media have every reason to have problems with their BP. When I get up in the morning, I don't even tolerate social media. Because when you go there, like I said, the social media is full of, how do I put this? It's full of gum, quote and unquote. You have people who are lawyers in the social media. They will analyze legal documents. They are there to analyze legal documents. Some did not even go to school, but they will analyze legal documents. You have consultants that are now part of the social media, social commentators. Sometimes they argue out of ignorance. They argue on matters they do not even understand, and yet they argue. And even those who actually know the stuff, those who are properly informed, if those who are informed tend to even educate them, they resort to insults. There's absolutely no respect when it comes to interaction over the social media. That's why I don't go there. That's why I didn't even see that. So this is a warning to members of the public. You are free to come to Parliament. The office of the Clerk of Parliament is always open. Come to Parliament and ask relevant questions. But they won't. They won't. But very soon, I'm going to put into effect what it means by contempt of Parliament. Thank you very much. Let's proceed.
Mr. Speaker, we'll finish very soon. But before I go to the next item, I want to remind the House that we are bereaved. Our colleagues on the other side, see they are not in their numbers, and we lost one of our colleagues' father yesterday. Our former member was laid to rest. We are still in sympathy with our colleague on the other side. So we don't want people to carry the news that they boycotted your speech. And we also have our international obligations with the Speaker, who is in charge of Parliament, has given some permission to members of Parliament to attend. It no means we can cooperate, we have quorum. This is the situation we are. Mr. Speaker, I also want to remind the House that my colleagues on the other side, Expo 35-1, you see them moving because you want to go and attend to the funeral. Just ask the Minister, the speech will take 2 hours. So you are free to rise on 35-1 as you may. We don't want people to carry the news headline. Nobody is boycotting your budget speech. So we are House of Procedure.
Yes.
I need to remind members.
Thank you very much, the leader of government business, for informing them.
Yes,
because otherwise, first thing in the morning tomorrow, you are going to see a terrible caption. Thank you very much, leader.
Yes, the next one I asked you, I talked to the other side. I have said, ex jura, Jew, no orator. The leaders cannot make a law. We are not above the law. As I said last time, I continue to say thanks to the paramount chiefs and my colleagues for showing some understanding. I want to rely on Section 94 of the Constitution to suspend 93(1). Mr. Speaker, we are not above the law, and if we are going beyond the normal time, it's for us to now to recognize the neatness of proceedings that we ratify today by making a motion that I want to rely, I still remind you, 94, to suspend 93(1) of the Constitution. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Before I move, I don't know if if you can make reference or you want me to move now. I don't need your permission. Because it's a constitutional provision. I don't know. The other side? Mr. Speaker.
Yes, yes, approach me, leader, and the leader of the opposition.
Mr. Speaker, because the provision is really not enshrined in standing orders, and we, as I said, I rely on 94. So I just forget about 93 and rely on 94 with the provision into whatever provision we have for the committees. So, Mr. Speaker, I rely on 94 for you to make a ruling on 93.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's noted. Leader of government business. It's noted. We are already properly regulated. Proceed.
Laying of papers. The Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, with your leave, I beg to lay on the table of this honorable House the following papers. 1. The redenomination of the Lien Regulation 2024, the Bank of Sierra Leone Act 2019, Act number 5 of 2019, Statutory Instrument number 4 of 2024. 2. The Fiscal Strategy Statement, FSS, FY2025 to 2027, in fulfillment of the sections 21 and 23 of the Public Financial Management Act 2016.
Bills. The Bank of Sierra Leone Amendment Act 2024, Introduction and First Reading. The Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I move that the bill entitled the Bank of Sierra Leone Amendment Act 2024 be read the first time.
Honorable members, the question is that the bill entitled the Bank of Sierra Leone Amendment Act 2024 be read the first time. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
The bill entitled the Bank of Sierra Leone Amendment Act 2024 has been read the first time. Second reading.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I move that the bill entitled the Bank of Sierra Leone Amendment Act 2024 being an act to provide for an amendment to the Bank of Sierra Leone Act 2019 and for other related matters be read the second time. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the rationale and objective of the Bank of Sierra Leone Act are the following. Following the denomination of the currency of Sierra Leone, there was a need to differentiate between the outgoing old leones and the new incoming leone. The differentiation was achieved by the use of prefix LE to signify the old leone and the use of the prefix NLE to signify the new leone. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the differentiation arrangement was provided for by the redenomination of the leone consequential provisions, Regulations 2022, and was intended to be an interim transitionary measure until the transition period, whereby all old leone notes in circulation were retrieved by the Bank of Sierra Leone and the new notes in full use and circulation. The transition period officially ended in March 2024. Consequently, it is now necessary to clarify the position following the completion of the redenomination process. And this is what has necessitated the Bank of Sierra Leone Amendment Act 2024, which provides that the currency of Sierra Leone is the leone, and that the prefix following the completion of redenomination to be used is NLE and C. The Bank of Sierra Leone Amendment Act of 2024 also provides that the prefix LE and C shall be used when reference is made to a financial transaction conducted using the old leones when that currency was legal tender. Accordingly, I hereby move that the bill entitled the Bank of Sierra Leone Amendment Act 2024 be read the second time.
Honorable members, the question is that the bill entitled the Bank of Sierra Leone Amendment Act 2024 be read the second time. I'm taking two from either side of the aisle. Yes, Chairman Finance. Can we do that in 5 minutes? Please, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the explanation given by the Minister, I believe, is so peaceable and understandable. There have been a lot of, well, I will not necessarily say confusion, but our people have been confusing the old leone and the new leones. And this is a result of the transitional period for the redenomination of the leones. And so it has been accepted because it was legal. But now that it's complete, I think there is every reason for this House to amend and to repeal Section 26 so that the legal tender will be leones and of course cents. So I think this is non-controversial. It's a very simple amendment, and I hope colleagues will take it this way. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Chairman. Any other? Urando.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, taking the cue from the Chairman of Finance, of course, this one, before the explanation, during the pre-legislative hearing, I took it as a very serious issue. And I even hung heads with the Deputy Minister that of this NLE to LE, based on the concerns of the leader of government business, the entire budget will be rendered invalid, void ab initio, based on my understanding at that time. But that is the beauty of pre-legislative hearings. It is very good. Otherwise, it would have been something different now. But in my opinion, I told them, if the NLE is inserted in the budget, it will be made void. And we consider it as no document before us. But thankfully, the experts from the Minister of Finance and the Deputy Minister gave us a very good explanation, which was convincing to me. And I believe it should be convincing to all of us. One convincing argument or point he raised, the experts raised, was this: that they are using their own loans because there are existing transactions now, contracts and other agreements that were drafted in the old loans, but they are still functional. They are still, for the purpose of records, they are still functional. So whenever references is being made to those agreements, those transactions, those financial transactions, they make reference to the write-ups, to the dictates of those write-ups that were drafted at that time. And they cannot be amended. And above all, the implication of those figures, apart from the LE or NLE, the implication of those figures remain the same. The value remains the same. But for the neatness of procedure, any transaction that was being concluded with Bank of Sierra Leone or Minister of Finance or any financial transaction within the banks before the old loans expired, the transactions still remain. The write-ups still remain. And whenever references are being made to those transactions, they make reference direct as it is. They are lying down there. So on that note, I was convinced that based on that, we can use the NLE. But before using the NLE, we need to do these amendments. In the absence of that, it will be invalid. So on that note, I think it's not controversial. There are few corrections to be made, or few clarifications, because, Mr. Minister, you've succeeded in confusing me a little. But maybe you have to succeed in reconvincing me and take me out of this confusion. But that will be left for committee stage. I think it's okay. We can proceed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Without government business.
It's for the very confusion that we have brought this bill to stop the confusion. So let me just go straight to memorandum of objects and reasons. So we can take us off the issue of confusion. And Mr. Speaker, may I read your leave? Because this is a text that we are going to circulate. If you are quoting us, don't forget to make an attachment of this bill so that the people can understand exactly what we are discussing and what we did discuss at the chamber. Mr. Speaker, if you with your leave, memorandum of objects and reasons, the object of this bill is to amend the Bank of Sierra Leone Act 2019, Act number 5 of 2019. Take note. As a way to address the inconsistency and confusion in referring to transactions conducted prior to after the redenomination of the loan. Mr. Speaker, if you go back, this is just a prefix they are trying to fix. Or still transacting from section 26, subsection 1 of the bank in Act, the currency we operate in is the loan still. The loan remains constant. So as I said, if you look at clause 4 of the bill, clause 4, it's talking about the prefix. What form 4th of August 1964 to the 31st of December 2023, where the LE, that's a prefix, but it's still loans. So what they are saying now, as he said, so the effect to the transaction, because those transactions that we did until 2023, they are still valid. They are still agreement carried there. You cannot stop them. As a matter of fact, they are still receiving the old notes at back Australia. This is still happening in Ghana. They have been other places. In fact, when I went to London, they have changed the pound style. But I had the old ones, they did not change anywhere. Even at Brussels, they refused to do. When I went to Britain, they changed it for me. This is because on the note it's written on it, promise to pay on the demand, the sum off. So the banks, they have responsibility. The bank governor is sitting here, they have to accept it. At a particular point in time, they say, okay, it's no longer in circulation. So whatever they are going to do with it, we don't understand now. That's their own business. But the fact remains that they are accepting it. So my colleagues should not be confused. But the LE is only what they have put the prefix to, NLE. There is a cent. The cent is C, it's still the same. You have not changed it. So it's loans and cent. So it's not that we have changed anything. We have not dealt with the prefix. But we did a consequential amendment. So what we are doing now is to really consolidate it. So we really want, when we started, he's saying the truth. When we started, there was big confusion all over the place. In fact, when we passed a consequential amendment, people are afraid when you write check to 6 million, they will just get away with the check, they will not get it. They will just take it out. But if you take 6 million at that time before the expiration of the said date, and you write 6,000, it's the same value from the bank they will give it to you. The same weight of the account. Whether it's 6,000, at that time we pass the consequential, you get 6 million. At that time, you get 6,000. So they are trying to take the old note and release the new note. So we are not doing something different. We are just trying to be very organized to educate the public. But transaction that was done from 1964, 4th of August 1964, to that of 31st December 2023, they are still valid. And if I well stated here, we still transact in use, but the prefix we are going to use now is NLE. So when we went to the committee, we raised the issue. And that's why I said, you should warn the public, which you have done. Thank you very much. We have to understand that's a process. We are deviated from the norm. Because by today, we are not supposed to have any other item on the agenda. Just to ask the Minister of Finance and they read the budget for us. But unfortunately, we had this problem. And the opposition, I raised the issue. I said, we have no document in front of us, a valid document. I said, the values you have put, if you look at the finance bill, NLE, and we have not really gone into details because by technical terms, it's difficult for you to convince people if you are using NLE. But by consequential amendment, the bank governor can tell you that we are still using it. So what you have done to stop the confusion, my colleague said on the other side, is to pass this one into law. And maybe we give us more facts why we need to have this bill and enact it today. If we don't pass this one into law, your budget that you have put in place, the NLE, it's in that budget, it can be rendered in this house null and void. Very right, my leader on the other side. So what you are doing, you see, these are the things that we do as Floridians, responsible members of parliament, to see how do we work as a team. The executive parliament, these are groups of entities, of institutions, they need to work together. You have your partisan approach, but the country comes first. First. Thank you very much, my colleagues on the other side, for allowing me bending backwards from debating for the norm, Mr. Minister, so that we can get this done. Thank you, Mr. Minister, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Mr. Minister.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, thank you very much for the interventions. I get a sense of clarity of the purpose of the bill from both sides of the aisle. And I think my earlier submission, I think it's properly understood and comprehended. And what we are trying to do is very clear, is to ensure that we give proper effect to the appropriation bill and the budget itself, but also ensure that there are clarity around the prefix that will be utilized for the new loans going forward, and that all those bills that were used since 1964 to 2023 December, and those transactions in all other legal documents, they will be prefixed and as a reference point for that. I think that's basically what we're trying to do, and we honor all those obligations and prefix those transactions accordingly. So I think this is well noted. And having said that, I want to move that the bill entitled the Bank of Sierra Leone Amendment Act 2024 being an act to provide for amendments to the Bank of Sierra Leone Act 2019 and other related matters be read the second time.
Honorable members, the question is that the bill entitled the Bank of Sierra Leone Amendment Act 2024 be read the second time. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
The bill entitled the Bank of Sierra Leone Amendment Act 2024 being an act to amend the Bank of Sierra Leone Act 2019 and to provide for other related matters has been read the second time. Committee stage. The House dissolves into Committee of the Whole House. Clause 1 stand part of the bill.
Mr. Speaker, point of order.
Yes.
You don't cover the maize halfway. You make the full coverage of the maize. Please cover it properly. Never is here. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I move that clause 1 stand part of the bill.
Hold on, Mr. Minister. You know, we do everything to prevent the public criticizing us. But it's still go over social media. Proceed, Mr. Minister.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I move that clause 1 stand part of the bill.
Honorable members, the question is that clause 1 stand part of the bill. Page 1. Two. Yes, leader.
As I said earlier, Mr. Minister has succeeded in confusing me. The proviso on clause 4, proviso of clause 4, provided that the prefix Leon and C shall be used when citing or making reference to financial transactions conducted using the old Leons, which currency was legal tender from the 4th August 1964 and ceased to be legal tender effective 31st December 2023. Of course, I can recall very well that there was a documentation to that effect. That the legal tender ceased, the old laws ceased to be effective, ceased to come into effect on 31st December 2023. But I can also recall there was a deferment. Was it not deferred? I think after that expiration, there was an announcement, there was a proclamation. I don't know whether due to administrative reasons or whatsoever, it was extended to sometime in 2024. There was an extension. So if there was an extension, from no less a person but the bank governor, is that extension not part of our laws? If it is part of our laws, then we cannot say the old laws cease to come into effect on 31st December 2023. Because the extension was also part of our laws, and it remains part of our laws. That's one. I have other issues, but that's what I should do.
just a matter of clarity. The extensions that were provided up to March 2024 rather, was to allow the Bank of Sierra Leone to receive those currencies from the public. It's the mopping up exercise. But as of December, that it had ceased to be a legal tender. That's the truth. So it had ceased to be a legal tender, but the extension that was given was purely administrative. So the Bank of Sierra Leone can actually receive all those currencies and honor them. But as of December 2024, it's not a currency that was used for transaction anymore. Right? So, 2023, right? December 2023, they were not used for transactions anymore. But there are extensions given to the Bank of Sierra Leone to receive and retrieve all those currencies that were out there that were early denominated, prefixed. No, so that's the so it's an administrative. There was no deferment that was actually given.
Well, Mr. Minister, based on your proclamation that day, I can remember we used the old use normal during that extension. It was used normal. In fact, I'm a member of the finance committee in my church. I'm a member of the finance committee in my church. We collect that and offering normal in old use. Normal. So, and we take your word as law. It's law. So, I think there's nothing wrong by acknowledging the deferment date here instead of confusing things. Because your word is law. Word from the bank governor is law. And it causes no harm by correcting this date to the deferment date. What harm will it cause? Well, on the contrary, it will confuse some of us by ignoring your extension, and while your extension allows some of us to use the roll as legal tender, we use it normal. For us, it was normal. We used it. We paid for goods and services. We paid tax and offerings.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Yes, Mr. Speaker. Additionally.
Okay, after the leader of the opposition, the chief whip, then the chairman.
Yeah, additionally, in fact, it was due to the pronouncement made by the Bank of Sierra Leone. A lot of people were engaged in transactions, including the old loans, because of that very announcement from the bank. And when we are making law, we should cater for everybody who made transaction during that period as was announced by the Bank of Sierra Leone. So if we now stick on the 23rd of December, which was 31st of December, which was deferred, then it will be a problem for all those who engage in transaction in their own use as a result of an earlier announcement made by the bank. So I want to join my leader here, my colleague, to plead with the minister that we take into consideration the deferment date instead of the first date.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. If I did not learn anything from the former Speaker, SBB, there was one thing I learned. He always said to thyself be the truth. Mr. Speaker, it was this very house that summoned the bank governor to tell him, to ask him to extend the date. Because up to the time, we still had those old youths in our villages. Our sons, our mothers who sell boiled cassava, mosake, still had this old youths. So we pleaded with the bank governor to extend the time so that they will be able to bring their monies to the bank. We went to the extent to ask him to load more money at the local banks because our friends, our family at the village will not be able to come to Bo or Kenema or Makina as the case may be. In fact, at that time he promised and he did make sure that monies were in the local banks, the community banks, so that we can exchange the money faster. So it was this parliament that asked for that extension. So I'm not sure if the governor or the minister was right. I mean, they are wrong to have stick on the deferment name. It was us that asked for that deferment.
I think you are now debating.
Well, it's not a debate, Mr. It's just a investigation.
Yes.
Yeah, fine. Mr. Speaker. It's a big guy.
It's all right. Honourable members, order.
Today, Friday, we'll go pray. But Mr. Speaker, let us go back to the spirit of the text of clause 4. Let me put it this way so that we can understand. The professor at that time, the then bank governor, made a pronouncement. In fact, we questioned him about the procedure. We questioned about the procedure. We brought the minister here and we give the clarification. They gave a very short time for the commercial banks. Let's differentiate them. We have the Bank of Salo, which has the sole responsibility in charge of monetary affairs, that should supervise in the commercial banks. So they gave ultimatum for the commercial bank to stop accepting the we said this one, the time is very short. So we came here, it was a tense debate. It was very tense. And we agreed that professors should go back to his office and give out another pronouncement for an extension for commercial banks to collect the loans, the old notes. And we did agree. But what is we are asking now? The text is clear. The word legal tender. Legal tender. This clause 4 we have in front of us is saying from 1964, the 4th of August, this legal tender is going to be ceased into operations. Ceased into operations on the 31st of December 2023. That is what we have in clause 4. Mr. Speaker, if you don't mind, let me read for the edification of the public. Clause 4. The loan shall be issued in banknotes and coins and shall be prefixed by the sign NLE and C respectively. Provided that the prefix LE and C shall be used with citing or making preferences to commercial transactions conducted using the old notes. Which currency that was legal tender from the 4th August 1964 and ceased to be legal tender, that is to be into operations as a legal tender. That effective, Mr. Speaker. Sorry, Mr. Chairman. The base is covered.
Hold on. Let me correct the public. You know, when I sit here and that mace is not covered, I am Mr. Speaker. But when the mace during committee stage is covered, I am Mr. Chairman. Don't go and say that the speaker has been removed. He has been demoted to chairman. Proceed.
So, Mr. Chairman, I have not removed you by matter of procedure.
But they will say the speaker has been demoted to chairman.
Yes, that's what I said. I have not removed you. So, Mr. Speaker, what we are saying, we are not saying they are not in operation. Those transactions that was conducted within the time frame stipulated in the bill now, we are saying they cannot come out to be a legal tender transaction. But the Bank of Sierra has a responsibility. Bank of Sierra, not commercial banks, promise to pay on the demand a sum of. So those transactions that was done within that time frame, they are still legal by document. Whatever document, in fact, even when we had the time limit given to us by extension, they said, okay, you can still go to commercial bank to collect. They made a special section where you can even go to commercial banks because in Kenema we have Bank of Sierra Leone, other places they don't have. So the bank governor was here when the now bank governor was appointed. He promised us that he can conclude this matter in a very short period of time, and he did. But while he went further, that he also allowed the bank, the commercial banks, to still collect this money in a particular area at the bank. But now, because of the notes written and transactions are still going on documentation, you can still go to Bank of Sierra Leone to still do the transactions. But if you go to the commercial banks, They cannot transact with the old notes. That is the issue. So the clarification for this whole document is to tell us that, Mr. Minister, that we are giving a legal transaction effect to those ones before, from 1964 to 2023. They are still in transaction. So whatever document you have signed as ministry, you accept it. Even that, in fact, at that time, it was the rule of the APC. We cannot ignore them. The APC was governor for a very long time that period. We cannot ignore those transactions that they did. You understand? So we are not coming to the one that we have done within the APC era and the SFPP era. That we are going to accept those transactions, Mr. Speaker.
Listen to the chairman of the legislative committee, listen to the minister, and I tell you exactly what I think. Yes, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for giving me the floor. But the leader of government business already made the point that I was going to make. Thank you very much, sir.
Now, this is just for, yes, Mr. Minister, let me hear you before I say anything.
No, Mr. Speaker, I think Mr. Chairman, the leader of government business is very clear. I think the proclamation on the legal tender for Sierra Leone for the old loans was seized on December 31, 2023. But the Bank of Sierra Leone continues to honor, and there was a period of extension that was provided. That period of extension was purely administrative. It was to allow time for people to bring the currencies to the bank. That's it. So,
Mr. Minister,
if you had transacted at that time, in the background,
let me ask you a question.
You're not transacting.
Mr. Minister, let me ask you. Please, you might want to talk with the bank governor to engage with him. Is there anything that will go wrong if you take into account the period of extension?
Exactly.
Because, you know, all what the members of the opposition are trying to do, they are just trying to effect some legal correctness. All their argument is for purposes of legal correctness. But will anything go wrong if we take into account the period of extension? Maybe the governor will want to tell us. Let me yield
to the governor, please.
No. You, through you. Let me explain to you.
Then the explanation is the following.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. Well, there's an issue we can invoke if we want to, but we are not going to allow you to address. For logistical constraints, we are not going to do it. Mr. Chairman, I don't know, for me, I cannot talk for them, but we accommodate what they are bringing on. It's not that they cannot transact with them. We are saying this money, as far as even you have it for the next 20 years, you can still come to, I've cited an example when I went to London. You can still go to bankers. They want to limit your operations of the money. You cannot put in full circulation. If you allow those monies to be transacted at commercial banks level, no.
They have ceased.
So they have ceased. Let me come now. So what you are saying now, what they are saying, and you have for the minister, they are still transacting it if you take it to Bank of Sierra Leone. Collection, but you cannot go and do purchase with it. So, and they have said, all transactions, the contract that you signed during the APC era, the Pasheki, the JS Momo era, they are still in place. No problem, they are still honored. You want to have transactions, you have billions of the old notes, you want to change them to new notes, take it from your box in your room, take it to Bank of Sierra Leone, you cannot reject it. Bank of Sierra Leone will give in return same value as we have now for the NLE we are about to enact. This is simple. That's what you have. So,
look, I understand your argument. I understand your argument. Mr. Minister, the issue is clear. We are just trying to state clearly. The argument is around the period between 1964, he said, and 2023. So what they are saying, after 2023, there was an extension. And during that extension, transactions went on. Transactions went on after 2023. So the question is, will anything go wrong if we take into account that period of extension? Because, of course, the Bank of Sierra Leone Act is very clear. It gave authority to the bank governor to make certain proclamations. And the bank governor made that proclamation, extending the period within which those notes were legal tender. So all what the opposition is trying to say, since people transacted during that period, during the period of extension, can we take into account that period of extension instead of 31st December 2023? We go okay to say. You know your extension. Yes, we extend. When was it extended to? Was it 2024? To March. Instead of 31st December 2023, we say March 2024. Will anything go wrong?
Mr. Speaker.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman. Sorry, Mr. Chairman, I think we are misunderstanding something. It's been legal tender and it's been collected by commercial banks or central banks to phase it out during the period to allow Sierra Leoneans that actually have those monies in their cupboards, in their safe. There are two different things. So what they are saying here is that as at the 31st of December 2023, anybody that transacted using the old notes, that transaction is illegal habit. So if in his church they were collecting that money, they were collecting illegal money at the time of the service. So the central bank is saying by law, they extended the period that they want to take into consideration. They extended the period for receipt of those monies from Sierra Leoneans only.
Let me tell you a hypothetical situation.
Yes.
After 2023, after the 31st of December 2023, somebody paid his debt to his debtor. He went and paid some amount. Maybe he advanced 30 million to somebody after the 31st of December 2023. So, do we say that that payment cannot be counted?
It depends, Mr. Chairman. If the payment was made in the bank, it can be counted because as an extension for receipt of the funds,
so what I mean,
the period covers that.
Physically, forget about the bank.
Physically, if you transact, that transaction is illegal because at the time it's not a legal tender.
So those are the complications.
So which means 31st of December is the correct date to capture. If you capture any date beyond that, it means we are bringing illegality to legality.
Hold on, those are the complications we must be careful about. Those are the clear complications.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, we said after 31st, it ceased to be operational. Means commercial banks cannot transact that. But there is an opening. And let's see I'm making reference to. There's still an opening at the central bank, Bank of Sierra Leone. Anywhere, if you accept that transaction after 31st, but you have an opening at the central bank, you can take that money, say 30 million in the old note, you can bring it to the central bank and change it, they can give it to you in a new note. That is the window. Now, they're very let me just lie.
I can assure you after the 31st of December, even the banks and pay in the old bills.
So, I cannot say about that. So,
Mr. Chairman, let me go.
Can I raise a point of order?
The law is not hypothetical. The law is factual. Which means if we are alleging that banks transacted in the old notes as at the expiration period, then we have to bring proof. If there is no proof, it is hypothesis. We have to bring proof, otherwise the debt stands as it is. Because I did not transact and no other Sierra Leonean transacted as at the time of the expiration.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
I will listen to this. I'm going to listen to the leader of government business and the leader of the opposition, and we hear the minister conclude on it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, let me bring two things to me. First, the enforcement law, clause 5. There's not an enforcement. Mr. Chairman, the commercial banks are supervised by law by the central bank. So if they have given out a press statement, giving specific instructions that you cannot transact, we are not saying not illegal tender. You cannot transact in the old currency. And if you do, you have to face the full penalty of central bank. Nobody is above the law. So, Honorable Deputy Speaker is now asking. It's an hypothetical case, but if you bring evidence to the fore, Bank of Australia is going to take that up because it's a violation of the Banking Act. Yes, let me now come. Mr. Speaker, just as the rule in one election cycle, you cannot have two election systems. In one election cycle, you cannot have two election systems. We talk about PR system and first past the post. It's a confusion. Let us come back to this one. With what you are doing, it's happening in Liberia. They are having problems now. They will never have currency stability. They have liberty and they are using the dollar. It's a huge confusion they are having in Monrovia, Liberia. So now they want to attempt to stop, and what they have succeeded in doing. That we are not saying you cannot work with the old notes at all. We are not saying that. The opening that they have done for all of us, that if I accept illegally after 31st of December, in the old transaction, it's my own responsibility to take that transaction to central bank to give it a new note. But if you are caught transacting in it, it's a penalty. That's what they are saying. In fact, if clause 5 is a penalty, saying, Mr. Chairman, a person who contravenes the act or statutory instrument may thereunder commit an offence and is liable on conviction to a fine of 100,000 euros NLE or imprisonment for a term of not less than 3 years, or both such fine and imprisonment. We are trying to mitigate fraud in the system. We are trying to mitigate fraud. So how can you transact with two currency? We are trying to maintain fiscal stability. And we are having the whole currency coming into play, collected by a specific group of people. If they inject that into the system, we are asking Bank of Australia to involve in fraud. Because we cannot account for them any longer. So we are now asking you, colleagues, let's understand this. We can only have a signal opening by saying if you have done an illegal transaction or you still have them under your bed, take them to central bank and they can change it for into the new currency. That's not what you are saying. But we cannot put it as a free flow for anybody that you can go and transact. It is still a legal tender when you take it to commercial bank. But for transaction, yes, exactly. The circulation we are mitigating against. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Yes, thank you very much, leader of government business. But this is a matter that does not need even any argument. I asked a simple question. After the opposition leader, I'm going to repeat that question to the Minister of Finance. I want to know if anything will go wrong, if there's an extension. If there's an extension, if anything will go wrong, let him just tell us that extension will lead to complications. Then I'll plead with the House for us to accept this as it is.
Yes, Mr.
Yes, let me hear you.
Mr. Chairman. Again, our position is very clear. The validity of the old loans is not contingent on the public notice made by the Bank of Sierra Leone. It's contingent on its acceptability by the Bank of Sierra Leone. So once the bank is accepting it, everybody can do business with it because they need it will be. I'm coming. Allow me.
Mr. Chairman, point of order. I always frown. Please patiently. It's on procedural when the leader on the other side is speaking and people are making some. No, you cannot do that.
Yes, proceed.
So let us allow him to make his comments. We are
who are those making comments?
No, it's not about you. You are sure to him. You are not counterpart. Look at your counterpart there. Talk to him.
Don't forget.
Please, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you,
Chairman.
Yes, proceed.
Yes. So because people knew at the end of the day it will be accepted by the Bank of Sierra Leone, they transacted in it. And for all those who transacted because they knew that when they go with it to the Bank of Sierra Leone, it will be accepted until March or so. They dealt with it. For example, I may have own loans. The bank has issued a public notice that it is not a legal tender, but the bank is accepting it until next year. What will prevent me from doing business with it when I know that if it's February, you take it to the bank, they will change it for you? And there are a lot of people who transacted in the old news before the last day. If the bank would have said very clearly that from the 31st of December, we would not accept any old loans at the Bank of Sierra Leone, it clearly shows that nobody has the right to transact in it. But the window created opportunities for people to transact in it. People dealt in orange money. People dealt with old loans. So the Bank of Sierra Leone created, and because they created the lacuna, they should make provision for the ordinary citizens not to do this transaction, and at the end of the day, it is not taken into consideration by virtue of this bill that we passed.
We are done in Mr. Minister, can you tell us? You know, you are the expert. The bank governor.
Mr. Chairman, the Bank of Sierra Leone is the custodian of the currency and is a regulator of the use of the currency. On December 31, 2023, there was a proclamation that the old loan ceases to be legal tender. That's it. Now, any transaction during that period in the old loans were illegal, hence that period. There was a period given for all loans that are out there, that are old loans, to be brought to Bank of Sierra Leone. And that period ended on March 31, 2024. So for us, it is very clear. The date here is the date 31 December 2023, as the date that the old currency ceased to be legal tender. And there was there's a legal backing for that date because there's a clear proclamation on when that date ceased to be. So we don't want to be involved in trying to prove whether people transacted or not. All we know is that Bank of Sierra Leone will continue to receive any old loans that is out there. But by that date, it was basically an administrative period for them to receive all the currencies. So that's basically what it is. As I speak today, Bank of Sierra Leone will still receive any loan that is out there. It's only be less than 0.00% that is out there. We don't even know. But they have collected nearly all the old loans that is out there. So the date here is the date by proclamation, and legally, I think it's the date that must stand.
Thank you very much, Mr. Minister. So, honorable members, let's accept it as it is, because they are the experts. They are the ones who know exactly what the implications are. Honorable Daniel Kruma, you said you had another issue to raise.
Yeah, I have another issue.
Do you have another issue?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please raise them. Raise any other issues you have.
At the same page 2, clause subclause 5. Subclause 5, the fine provision. The phraseology of the fine provision. The fine and imprisonment. For the fine provision, it says liable on conviction to a fine of 100,000 euros. While for the corresponding alternative sentence of imprisonment, it says not less than 3 years. So in my opinion, if we are to accept not less than, then the not less than should be used also for the fine provision. It should not be less than 100,000 loans, and then an imprisonment of not less than 3 years.
I think we have a standard also.
Yeah, that's the standard.
We have a standard.
Not less than, should be used in both.
I think that's fair, not so. Honorable
But if you just say 100,000.
we have a standard here, not so. Yes, leader.
Not less than 100,000.
Not less than 100,000, also.
As it is for the 3 years imprisonment.
Yes, we have a standard also.
Mr. Chairman, I know we agree for, as I said, it was, when I made my submission that we don't make crime lucrative, we make crime punishable.
Yes.
We are trying to see how best we can do so the courts can see reason why there are certain penalty levied must be given the weight that it deserves. So based on that, we agree that we have this in the whole transaction. We are just changing from the old 100 million to now to the new currency, this NLE. So 100,000 we have. We are saying he said 100,000 new loans or imprisonment, not less than. So we are trying to couch a way that we fit the sentencing, so that it's not less than. For us, in fact, for me now, because we have brought me in this business, so let us push it to the base of inflation. At the time we passed that one, the inflation was at the time where we did not see it properly to increase the levy. I want us to increase the levy now. Mr. Chairman, let me campaign.
Yes.
I know my colleagues will join me.
Yes.
So now, this has absolute money. Yes. We want to mitigate fraud within the system. In fact, they have not told us how much they are even collected at this time. We are not going to that, as Minister said. My colleagues are not that. We still have dues outside, collect them. They are not told how much have been collected at this time. Time will come in. The committee can deal with that.
Mr. Minister,
so,
we are going to summon you for question time.
So I'm now pushing for 150,000 bills. 150,000, not less than 150,000 bills. Or imprisonment for the term of not less than again 3 years. That you are my deputy, please.
So,
Mr. Chairman, wait, we are doing some lobby, please. Don't give a few minutes. Tell me, Mr. Chairman, tell your invitees that they should not disturb me when I'm pushing for to make it very strong enough. The bank governor is here, I don't know what he's doing, he's campaigning me. So, just a minute. I know you accept my proposition. Over here, accepted. Accepted. Okay, no, I'm sure. Accepted. So I move, Mr. Chairman. I move, accepted. Then he said, Mr. Chairman, we are not looking for secondary. Yes.
I know secondary.
Yes, thank you.
All those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. At this stage, honorable members, let me recognize the presence of the great chairman of the SMEP, I also recognize one of us, who is now the CIO of the And I also recognize the Minister of Works, the great Dr. Sadi. And of course, members of the diplomatic corps. You are all heartily welcome to the House of Parliament. So yes, Mr. Minister. Mr. Minister, let me hear you on this.
Mr. Chairman, I have no objection to the fine provisions as proposed by the leader of government business and seconded by the deputy opposition leader. And we can proceed. Mr. Chairman, honorable members, I move that the clause 1 stand part of the bill as amended.
Honourable members, the question is that clause 1 stand part of the bill as amended. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 1 form part of the bill as amended. The House resumes.
Mr. Minister, report on the bill.
Mr. Speaker, honourable members, I report that the bill entitled the Bank of Sierra Leone Amendment Act 2024, having gone through the committee of the whole House with amendments, I now move that the bill be read the third time and passed into law.
Honourable members, the question is that the bill entitled the Bank of Sierra Leone Amendment Act 2024 be read the third time and passed into law. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
The bill entitled the Bank of Sierra Leone Amendment Act 2024, being an act to amend the Bank of Sierra Leone Act 2019 and to provide for other related matters, has been read the third time and passed into law.
This House is stood down for 5 minutes.
Continue to watch this Liberty Television. Of course, we still in the House of Parliament. As of course, today we get the Minister of Finance, when Sheku Ahmed Fatamadu Pangura. We in the Well of Parliament for carrying out the budget for 2025. Of course, we all don't watch the debates for the ruling bench, and of course, to the opposition, we then look at the Bank of Sierra Leone Act for 2024, and of course, for now, the Speaker of Parliament, Honourable Singapore Solomon Thomas, don't stood down the House for 5 minutes. Of course, then they get privileged discussions, and of course, the House will resume after 5 minutes. Continue for watch, not go any side. This is Liberty Television, and we bring you live coverage at the Well of Parliament. We'll continue for watch. They bring you live coverage at the Well of Parliament, and they look out for Sabbath to engage few members of Parliament and we will talk to. Waiting at expectation with regards to the budget for what is the Liberty Television. Trump will continue for watch this Liberty Television. Of course, the House will stood on for 5 minutes. As of course, today we look at the speech day from the Minister of Finance with regards to the 2025 budget. The Minister will read at any time from now. And of course, private discussions will go on. And of course, we want to continue to encourage you that you stay with me at any time from now. We definitely will continue with the Liberty Television. Don't decide what we comment at the comment section. Of course, we will live pictures and coverage at the Well of Parliament.
This one settlement, honestly, for many ways is stable.
Our time will continue forward. This is Liberty Television. And then with Honorable Aeon, we are a member from the opposition. Of course, we all know the see debates and parliament and how you don't articulate with regard to papers the way they delay and other issues the way they happen at the well of parliament. Honorable, good afternoon and welcome to Liberty Television.
Well, thank you very much. Good afternoon, viewers.
So, what thing we'd expect from the opposition with regards to the budget for 2025, where the minister will soon read out?
Well, we expectation are for make governments really put their intentions them into action through figures, because we all know what we currently face right now. We're down the living in an economy where minimum wage not even enough for even buy a bag of rice anymore. Person they work without any motivation. So they expect, say, at the end of this project to see some significant increase in the minimum wage of workers, where in turn people use, what people will use for get some meaningful dailies into the daily lives then. So they also see, say, we also expect the government will do some substantial increase.
Thank you. All right. We will continue with the conversation as the House law is due.
Introduction and first reading. The Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I rise to move that the bill entitled the Appropriation Act 2025, being an act to authorize expenditures from the Consolidated Revenue Fund for the services of Sierra Leone for 2025, be read the first time. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the repeated external shocks and global economic uncertainty in recent years adversely affected domestic economic performance and eroded the living conditions of our people. In response, the government formulated and implemented prudent macroeconomic policies in 2023 and 2024 to mitigate the impact of the shocks and correct policy slippages. The fiscal consolidation stance, combined with proactive monetary policy, has begun to bear fruits. Economic recovery remains resilient.
Leader of government business.
The fiscal and trade deficits are narrowing, inflation is decelerating, and the Leone has been relatively stable with positive implications for improved living conditions. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, in addition to making progress in restoring economic stability, we also achieved the following. One, on the basis of prudent management of the economy in the last 22 months and our proposed reforms over the next 3 years, the Board of the International Monetary Fund approved a new economic and financial program supported under the extended credit facility with expected disbursements of about $253 million over the next 3 years. Two, the approval of the new program has paved the way for the negotiation of another program under the Resilient Sustainability Facility, which will also lead to the disbursement of between $207 million to $415 million to support macroeconomic management and address climate-related risk. Three, on the back of improvements in social and economic performance and governance, government signed the Millennium Challenge Cooperation Compact Agreement with the government of the United States for $480 million to support the energy sector. For government mobilized $800 million in pledges from development partners, including OPEC Fund for International Development, Arab Bank for Economic Development in Africa, Badia, Islamic Development Bank, ISDB, the International Fund for Agriculture, IFAD, the Qatar Fund for Development, and Africa 50 at the Investment Roundtable for Sierra Leone in Vienna, Austria, in support of our Feed Salon program and investments in renewable energy. These pledges have begun to materialize. Fourth, the European Union has resumed budget support operations with expected disbursement of 90 million euros between 2024 to 2027. Under the Feed Salon program, we have reduced the importation of basic food items, including 16% reduction in rice imports, 34% decrease in onion imports, 13% reduction in chicken imports, and 25% decrease in egg imports. 7. Distributed machinery, including 200 rice mills, 142 rice threshers, 144 combined harvesters, and 3 landing crafts to farmers. We distributed agricultural input, including 20 metric tons of foundation seeds to certified seed growers, and supplied 4 million cocoa seedlings and 1,000 plantain suckers to farmers. We facilitated the cultivation of 23,438 hectares of land and rehabilitated 1,950 acres of inland valley swamp across the country. We constructed 200 kilometers of feeder roads and 4 rural bridges in Kailan, Karinepon, and Pujan districts to enhance connectivity and market access. The Bank of Sierra Leone launched a 10 million agricultural credit facility with low interest rates for rice, onion, and poultry farmers, and the government mobilized an additional 7.9 million through the World Bank funded Food Systems Resilience Project for rice, cassava, and livestock value chains. We launched the Sierra Leone Access to Finance project with support from the EU and United Nations Development Program, totaling $10 million to provide interest-free loans and insurance products to protect farmers against climate risk, among others. In addition, the Islamic Development Bank provided $2 million for an interest-free loan scheme for agribusiness in the rice value chain. We have done substantial investments in health infrastructure, such as construction of the Port Local Emergency Hospital, Julius Margaret Pediatric Center of Excellence in Freetown, Waterloo, and Jojima Hospital in Kailan. We also rolled out school feeding programs covering 2,173 primary schools and primary schools benefiting 37,000 children. And about 50% of total beneficiaries are girls. We provided emergency cash transfer to 43,000 households. The government also launched construction of 148.5 megawatts Western area power generation following ratification of a power purchase agreement by a reasonable house. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, will also install 100 mini grids in various chiefdoms across the country and establish a public health agency to coordinate prevention, detection, and rapid response to health threats. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, objectives of the 2025 budget. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the 2025 budget will seek to consolidate these gains and prioritize programs and policies that will foster inclusion, economic resilience, as well as improve the quality of lives of the people of Sierra Leone, hence the theme of the budget, improving the well-being and quality of life of the Sierra Leoneans. This will require the continued implementation of prudent fiscal and monetary policy to safeguard macroeconomic stability. It is also imperative to undertake sectoral and structural reforms to promote sustainable and inclusive growth and enhance the living standards of Sierra Leoneans. Speaker, honorable members, in this context, the objectives of the 2025 budget are the following. 1, continue with efforts to further reduce inflation, stabilize the exchange rate to enhance household income, improve purchasing power and standard of living of our people, to prudently manage public finances to create fiscal space, for investment in social and economic sectors, support the Feed Salon initiative to boost agricultural productivity and food security, sustain investment in human capital development to improve productivity and quality of workforce, continue to invest in infrastructure, technology, and innovation to boost productivity and growth potential of the economy, and deepen and broaden social protection programs to support the poor and vulnerable groups in our society, thereby ensuring their social and economic inclusion. We'll improve the business environment to promote growth and create job opportunities. We'll also support activities that promote a greener environment and address climate change and risk, and strengthen the public administration for effective and efficient public service delivery and good governance. So, Speaker, honorable members, before elaborating on the policies to achieve these objectives, please permit me to update this noble house on the macroeconomic and budgetary performance in this year 2024. Macroeconomic development in 2024. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the statistics Sierra Leone, with support from the IMF, has rebased the country's gross domestic product, GDP, with a base year revised from 2006 to 2018. The rebased GDP shows that our economy is bigger than we had previously estimated. The size of the economy, of the Sierra Leone economy, has increased from about $4 billion to $8 billion with per capita GDP increasing from $492 to $857. This is primarily driven by improved measurement of agricultural and service sector, as well as increased coverage of informal activities across all sectors. The rebased GDP shows changes